Are you, like many others, trying to make sense of what's going on in the world? Thankfully, we can find some insight in the Bible. So come with us on a journey to unraveling Revelation.
Hi, my name is Santo. This is part 2 on this current series, and the series is called Global Political Medical Tyranny. Global Political Medical Tyranny. You need to watch part 1 to understand what I'm about to say today. Last time we saw that the Bible speaks about a time when a power called Babylon will unite with the great business people of the world, and they will deceive all nations of the earth through the use of some kind of magical spell. And they are deceived and they follow Babylon. All the nations follow Babylon. But the followers of Jesus are not deceived. They do not follow Babylon. And as a result, Babylon ends up killing the followers of Jesus. Okay, that was on the last one. Let's move forward. What time in history are these events of Revelation chapter 18? Are these events that I just spoke about way back in the 1st century, the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, the Renaissance? Is it in the distant future or in the near future, or is it being fulfilled right now? Does the Bible give us a time reference? Does it give us a chronological statement so we can know when to expect these events? Yes, it does. We're not left in the dark. First of all, we know something about the timing of these events from the nature and scope of these events. The scope of these events is global. It's global because you've got all the business people of the earth, all the great business people of the earth, uniting with Babylon, and they are casting some kind of magic spell over all the nations of the earth. Now, so this is a global universalist deception that's taking place, and that by itself makes us think that this has not yet happened. But we've got some more information, evidence from the text to tell us about when we are to expect these events on planet Earth. Revelation 17:18 says, Revelation 17:18, the woman Babylon that you saw is the great city that rules over all the kings of the earth. Stop. More information. This is a real global event that's been described here. Babylon is now the great city that rules over all the kings of the earth. This is a global power, and it somehow takes control of all the political powers of the earth and all the great business people of the earth and deceives all the nations of the earth. This hasn't happened yet. And the rest of the book of Revelation will tell us clearly at what point in history these events take place. So, let's summarize it. We are to look for a power that's a worldwide power called Babylon. It rules all the kings of the earth, it's global, and all the great business people of the earth, global, and deceives all the nations of the earth, global, they all unite somehow to cast some kind of spell on the nations of the earth, and it works, and they are tricked and they follow Babylon, but they don't trick the followers of Jesus. And because they're not tricked, they don't follow Babylon, they get killed. That gets God's attention. Yeah? Okay. So let's have a look at some strict chronological statements from within the book of Revelation that tell us a time reference. When are these events to take place? Were they past, distant past, 1st century, Dark Ages, Renaissance, distant future? When? Well, I'm suggesting they're in the future. How distant? I don't know. But it's starting to smell like it to me, okay? But I'm not going to put my head on the chopping block for this one. Okay, the chronological timing of these events described in chapter 18 are detailed in chapter 17. The same powers are mentioned in chapter 17. Look at chapter 17, 12 to 16, and we'll see there about Babylon and the kings of the earth persecuting God's people, and it tells you what point in time these events take place. Revelation 17, 12 to 16 says this: The 10 horns on the beast that you saw are 10 kings. Okay, so John has seen a beast, which is a political power, and it has 10 horns, and now he's telling us what these horns represent. We're not left in the dark. There's no guesswork. This is all coming straight from the text. Yeah, not my interpretation. The Bible is explaining itself. The 10 horns you saw on the beast, these are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom. They're not united yet. But who for 1 hour, short period of time, will receive authority as kings along with the beast. There's going to be a union of political powers with this beast power. And the beast is not Babylon. It's distinguished. Just wait. There's a union of political powers. The 10 kings have one purpose, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. Why? They will wage war against the Lamb. Stop. So Babylon, who rules over the kings of the earth, these kings of the earth will wage war against the Lamb. In chapter 19, we have a strong chronological statement as to when this event takes place. It's the return of Jesus. And I'm not talking a secret rapture. I'm talking about the bodily return of Jesus, the second coming of Christ, as believed in all the creeds. The Creed of Nicaea says Christ has died, Christ has risen, Christ will come again. The real thing, not the secret rapture. So these 10 kings will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them because the Lamb is Lord of lords and Kings of kings, and with him will be his called, chosen, faithful followers. So we know from this passage so far that the 10 horns that Babylon rules over, Babylon rules over the 10 kings, the political rulers of the earth. They are eventually going to make war against Jesus, who is the King of kings and the Lord of lords, but they're going to lose. Let's keep going. Verse 15. Then he said to me, the angel, the waters you saw where the prostitute Babylon sits, these are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. And the beast and the 10 horns, the 10 kings that you saw, they will hate the prostitute Babylon. They will bring her to ruin, leave her naked, and they will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Hang on. First of all, Babylon, the great city, is ruling over the kings of the earth. The kings of the earth unite with her for some reason, then they turn on her. They turn on her and they kill Babylon, and then they turn on Jesus. Boom! Chronological statement. The kings of the earth are end-time kings who come into unity, who give authority to Babylon. Babylon then kills the followers of Jesus, and then, for some reason, the kings of the earth turn against Babylon. They realize they've been tricked. They turn against Babylon, they kill her, and then they turn against Jesus. Babylon appears just before the return of Jesus. Clear. Why 10 horns? Well, we know the 10 horns are 10 kings. Why? Is it only going to be literally 10 kings? No, this is symbolic. Book, the 666 and the 1260 days and the 1000. They're all symbolic periods in the book of Revelation. Why 10? In biblical numerology, the number 10 represents completeness. One example, the 10 commandments, the complete law of God. Okay? So, and I could show many references in the number 10 in the Bible talks about completeness. So 10 kings represents completeness. All the kings of the earth in completeness, in unity, they come together. So this is what the storyline is so far. Babylon rules over the great business people of the world. Babylon also rules over the political powers of the world. All of them, they all unite together. They deceive the nations through some kind of witchcraft, magic spells, and all the nations are tricked, sucked in, deceived. They follow Babylon, but the followers of Jesus are not. And they're killed as a result. And then this gets God's attention. Yeah? So he puts it into the hearts and minds of the 10 kings, and they turn on Babylon. The political powers eventually turn on Babylon. First, Babylon is ruling the 10 kings, then the 10 kings turn against her, and then they turn against Jesus. Yeah? So this Babylon power gets wiped out just before the 10 kings try to take on Jesus. You got that? So we know that this is in the future. This is still in the future. It's not in the past. Let me read to you from Revelation chapter 19, 11 to 19, just so you get this really, really clearly, that Babylon appears not in the past, not in the Middle Ages, not in the Dark Ages, not in the Renaissance, but it arises just before, for 1 hour. This is 1 hour, very short period of time, just before Jesus comes back. And they get together to try to kill the followers of Jesus because they won't be deceived. They stay loyal, yeah? Revelation 19, 11 to 19. I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse. Heavens open up, he sees a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True. John is seeing a point in history where heaven is open, he sees a white horse, and the name of the rider is Faithful and True. And with justice he judges and wages war. Someone's coming back, faithful and true, who's waging war with justice, and his eyes are like blazing fire, and on his head are many crowns. He has a name written on him that no one knows but he himself. He is dressed in a robe dipped in his own blood, and his name is the Word of God. The armies of heaven were following him, riding on white horses, dressed in fine linen, white and clean. Coming out of his mouth is a sharp sword, which to strike down the nations, and he will rule over them with an iron rod. And he treads down the winepress of the fury of the wrath of God Almighty. On his robe and on his thigh, he has a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Clearly, Jesus, all symbolic. Don't take this thing literally, yeah. Okay, but it's a symbolism, war. Jesus is coming back. He's making war against who? Revelation 19:19, same passage, next verse. I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to wage war against the rider on the horse and his army. This correlates with what we just saw in Revelation chapter 17. Yeah? So the 10 kings and the beast, they unite, they give power to Babylon so that she can kill the followers of Jesus and deceive the nations. And for some reason, they turn on her, they kill her, and then they turn on Jesus. So Babylon appears just before the return of Jesus. It's future. It's future. All that to prove that it's future. All right, so what have we seen so far? Number one, the events of Revelation 18, 23 to 24, which was the previous video, take place just before the coming of Jesus. That's when Babylon appears, yeah? We are to look for a worldwide power called Babylon that will unite with the great business people of the whole world and the kings of the whole world to deceive all the nations of the whole world and to deceive them through a magical spell. What is that? When this union takes place and they cast this spell on the nations, they are deceived, they follow Babylon, but not the followers of Jesus, and they get killed as a result because of their loyalty to Jesus. Yeah? So all that just to show that that's the plot line. Yeah? It happens just before Jesus returns. Okay? We'll leave it there. We still need to find out, well, who is Babylon? Who is it? Who is this power? And what the heck is this magic spell that deceives the nations, but not the followers of Jesus? Well, what is it? Are we told? Yep. It's all there. So we've got another 2 or 3 sessions to go.